We're going to have a look at construction methods and how PalletCAD utilizes the presets to control how the cabinets are constructed. So again, we'll start with a new project. We won't name it because we're just going to do some tests. What we will do is we're going to go to the File menu and we're going to go to the Information menu, and for the default values of the project we're going to add our normal form, which is our normal preset form. This one covers all of the construction details as far as material thicknesses and sizes, but the form we're going to add, the new one, and this is what we're going to concentrate on, is going to be the IDEX construction. Now there's IDEX construction 1, 2 and 3, so there's 3 different types of construction that you can have as a preset. You can also have unlimited types of construction by using the Override Construction tab, which we'll show you in a moment. So with IDEX construction number 1, if we click OK, we can see here that we have a series of boxes on the screen. Now at first it looks a little bit confusing because there's a lot of information, but if we break it down into just one box and we concentrate on one box and explain how this works, it'll be easier to see how the others work. What we need to remember is that the pictures always look at the cabinet as looking from the front of the cabinet, as in where the door of the cabinet is. So this is the front of the cabinet, and this is going to be the right hand side, this is going to be the back, and this is going to be the left hand side. So this is the top. This is the top of the cabinet. Now the top could be a rail or a solid top. What we have next to each of these areas, we have 3 little pictograms. So the first one here is a measurement, and then we're followed by a green cylinder to turn the joint on or off, and another little icon which toggles between having it extended or short. And each of these do the same thing, extended or short. So what we need to remember is the yellow piece of board is the piece of board here. The grey piece of board is the other piece of board that it may be touching. Now the pictures are not rotated to represent each piece customized because it's just impossible to do that. They all look totally different. Instead it's the same picture for each one. So what we might do is we might have a look at the construction where we're going to have it in between the ends. So we might have the back sitting in between the ends. So this window here, we can type in a description. All this does is help you understand what you've set this page to, because don't forget there's 3 pages that you can set. So we're going to make this one back in between the ends and the same height as the ends. So if it's in between the ends, we want the top to stop short on this side. So we don't want it to run through, because this will be the top sitting on the top. We want it actually to stop short. And we want this side to stop short. The back is in between the ends and the same height as the ends, so we want the back edge to stop short. So now the top, if it was a solid top, is going to be stopping short of the right hand end, stopping short of the back, and stopping short of the left hand end. As a result, we want screws to be turned on, or joints to be turned on this part. So the joint turned on this part protrudes a screw, and as the screw then touches the end, it makes the hole. One of the important things about PalletCAD is the holes are not made in the part by any sort of complex formula. The holes are made in the part by these joints or screws touching them. So if our top has a joint or a screw attached to it, when it touches something else, it punches a hole through whatever it touches. And we'll see this in a moment when we have a look at the picture. So the short version is that if you stop short, normally you want screws turned on. If you go all the way through, you normally don't want to have screws turned on. So typically they go hand in hand, not always, In the case of if you have an open box that you're going to biscuit or mortise and tenon, then it won't be turned on, but generally 9 times out of 10, if it stops short, you'll have screws turned on. So it's an easy way to remember those two. So if our top is like this, we'll jump straight down to the bottom now. On the bottom, we're going to stop short with screws, stop short with screws, stop short with screws. So now we'll have a look at our right hand end. Our right hand end has to go all the way through to the top of the cupboard with no screws. The back has to go all the way through, and we don't want any screws attached to this. The bottom has to go all the way through, and we'll repeat the same on the left hand side. So now with the back has to, on the left hand side of the back, has to stop short with screws. On the right hand side, stops short with screws. On the top, has to extend all the way through to the height of the cupboard, because the back is in between the ends and the same height as the ends, and the same for the bottom. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just I won't bother saving it as default. We're going to test it first and see if it's okay. So we're going to jump straight into our design, and what we'll do is we'll go to our object catalogs and we'll use our sample library. I'm going to go to a base cabinet and I'll grab out a standard base. So the most important thing that we can see is on our carcass construction tab is I'm using construction 1, which is the setting that we just set. So all of these are ignored, they're all grayed out, because when I click OK, it's going to read the information from my presets and drop it on the page. This is the beauty of PalletCAD. You set the presets once and it automatically adjusts all of your cabinets to that setting. The cabinet's on the page, and we're going to click OK. To be easier, we will go to our axonometric view and we'll go to our rotate button. I'm going to rotate this around so we can see that the back is sitting inside. The back is the same height as the ends, and the bottom is butting into the back. Now that's great because I've done this 100 times before, but what happens if we get it wrong, or if we want to change it? Let's do it a little bit step by step. We can see here that we've got some ghost holes happening. Now what a ghost hole is if I go to wireframe, and we'll just move that a little bit out of the way, we can see the one down the bottom a bit clearer. We can see that this is where the screw used to be, and this is where the screw is now. So the ghost holes are there for ease of identification. If you move something, it lets you see where it was and where it is now, and if you double click on the cupboard and click OK again, or if you send it to a CNC, or if you generate any drawings, the ghost holes are automatically removed. They're left there just for one operation, just so you can see that a change has made. And probably the change that happened to this cupboard was my preset height was not at 720, it might have been at 730. If we rotate this back to looking at the front, because that's how the pictures are looking in the presets, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the right, just for explanation. I'm going to go to the right hand side and I'm going to go to the fronts, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to hide the door. That way then we can see through the cupboard by keeping it still in solid, and we can see our construction a lot clearer. And I might go to our internal distribution, to the shelves, and I'll right click and I'm going to hide the shelves as well. So that way we can sort of see the cabinet more how it is in our presets of scenery. So let's do something a little bit different. Let's make a change. Let's make, on the right hand side of the cabinet, let's make the back go all the way through, and let's make the end stop short, so that we've got a different type of construction method, not standard, but it just shows you how to do it and some of the versatility of PalletCAD. So I'm going to go straight back to File, and I'm going to go down to our information and to our default projects, and in here now on the right hand side of the back I want to I'm just going to click one thing. I'm going to go extend all the way through, and on the right hand side I'm going to stop short. I'm not going to change the screws, and we'll see what happens. So I've shortened the right hand side and lengthened the back on the right hand side. I'm just going to go back to the design. Now if I double click on the cupboard and just click OK, it looks to the presets and makes a change. Let's turn it around and see what it's done. So now we can see that because I didn't change the screws are still sticking out on the back. And if I go to wireframe, we can see that we in fact do not have any screws attached to our right hand end to make any holes. Let's go back to solid and we'll rotate it around again. So we'll go back to our file menu, go back to information, back to the default values. So because I'm extending all the way through on my back, I want to turn the screws off on the back, and because I'm stopping short, I want to turn the screws on. Now let's go back and have a look. I'll double click again. So now we can see that we've got a totally customized construction method where the left hand side of the cabinet, the back is stopping short and has screws into the end or the gable, whereas on the right hand side of the cabinet the back extends all the way through and the right hand end or gable butts into the back. So all of these different construction methods are totally possible with PalletCAD, and if I have that set now as my construction method number 1, every single object that's in this catalogue, even though it's been built prior to me making those changes, as soon as I go to drag them out of the library, let's drag this one out, say, a two-door base cupboard. I'm going to put it in plan mode, just over here. So now we can see, I'll just click off it so we can see what's going on. So you can see that this cupboard was built before we made the change, and as it's come out of the library, it's adopted the changes for this job, and now the left hand side and right hand side is the same as what we set as our model. This is because this is the construction rule for construction method 1. So typically what I would normally recommend is we have a look at the customer's needs and we say in our information we might use construction method number 1, could be for all base cabinets. Then we might add a form, and construction method number 2 could be for all wall cabinets. And you can set a totally different set of rules for construction method 2 compared to construction method number 1. Then if we go back to our design, what we'll see is if we click on the cupboard under carcass construction, if we change this from construction method number 1 to number 2 now and click OK, it now adopts all of the settings for construction method number 2. So this is construction method number 2, this is construction method number 1. Of course we said in our presets it was for wall cupboards, and we know we can change this into a wall cupboard quite quickly, and we'll change our top to being solid. That's probably a better example. So construction method number 1 for base cupboards, construction method number 2 for wall cupboards, and then the third construction method is left for any odds and ends that you want to have a rule for everything. But of course don't forget, at any time we can double click on a cabinet and we can go to carcass construction, and we can also choose override. Override then lets us build the cabinet any way that we want as a one-off. So there's quite a lot of flexibility in in the construction methods to be used inside PalletCAD.